Seasoner
and Co.
Okay, should we dive straight in?
I assume we're recording.
Yeah, no, we're recording. We're recording something different from AI slop. It's people slop.
Fuck. Cheers to that. Oh god, that's delicious.
Sweet.
Yeah.
And delicious. If it wasn't alcoholic, I don't think I could drink it.
No, that's fair. It is
because
I
couldn't justify the calories.
No.
When it's alcohol, I can justify the calories.
It is, of course, choya, golden ume fruit from Japan, which is thematic for today's episode of
Secondhand Haunting,
where we read ghost stories from a secondhand book I got from a secondhand shop and try and make sense of them.
Fun of them.
Sense of them?
Fun of them.
Sense of them!
Fun of them.
Hey, Olly.
Hey, Callum.
There you go, man.
You know what? I'm feeling a little lit today, actually. I hadn't eaten much today.
No, you didn't tell me that.
Had a couple of wines and feeling a bit lively. I know...
Well, look, there's like a plum or something in the bottom of your choya glass. You are meant to eat it, so there's more food you can have.
Delicious.
That was quick. Oh, you haven't eaten it yet?
I haven't eaten the plum.
Yeah, I want you to go first.
You want me to eat the plum?
You don't have to do it now, but you do have to do it before me.
Okay, I can do it now. I've got a seed in it.
Oh, sorry.
Just a heads up. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because you could choke on the seed.
Yeah. Worth doing?
Absolutely.
Yeah, alright, cool. I'll get there eventually.
Well, if I wasn't lit before...
Oh dear.
So what sort of alcoholic ramblings can I ramble on this episode? The reason why I point it out today, listeners, because I am mostly sober. Mostly.
He says picking up his double-parked glass of wine.
Yes, mostly is not including today.
Aha.
If there is a listener out there listening today called Olly, I would like to give him a shout out. I'd like to give a shout out to another Olly, who I think is a listener.
What is this? What are you doing?
Shouting out to a listener.
A specific listener, or are you just like trying to rally all the Ollies of the world?
No, there's a guy I know called Olly.
Oh.
Who has been listening to our show, and I was giving him a shout out.
Oh, well, fair enough then.
Is that
hey,
okay?
Olly.
We not...
yeah, that's fine. Hey, Olly.
He does have a different last name, just so you know.
I should hope so.
Anyway, I thought I'd give a shout out to Olly if he's listening.
Good on him. Thanks for listening, Olly. Now, Olly that's in the room with me, I get the feeling maybe we should be doing some shorter stories today, rather than committing to one long one, eh?
I feel like I'm in for the long haul. It's up to you. You know, we're going to do some shorter stories.
I happen to have already organised shorter stories, so that's what you're getting.
That sounds excellent, Callum. Let's do some shorter stories. Actually, okay, look, shorter stories, that sounds like a great idea.
I'm glad. Because I've picked a couple out today. And do you remember what you requested last time you were on the show?
It was vampires? No, it was cowboys.
No.
No.
Okay. Well,
was it European?
No.
Damn it. Alright, I bet you when you say it, I'll remember.
You wanted to hear some Japanese ghost stories.
I did. I love Japanese ghosts. Oh, I really do.
And I just so happen to have in my possession Japanese Tales, as translated by Royall Tyler.
And when I say I like Japanese ghosts, what I really enjoy is Japanese culture as a whole. I think their religion, like the Japanese tales of magical creatures, whatever religion that falls into. Big fan of Japanese culture, big fan of the historical Japanese stories and mythical creatures. So
good, because all of these stories in this here book are from like the year 900 to 1200-ish. So they're all like old. Like 1,000 years old.
I'm having to go back straight to 1200. What a great time.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, it fell into the Middle Ages, so that must be a slow time.
Yeah, Middle Ages, I think, in Western society.
Yeah, well, that's true. Maybe it was a time of great innovation for them.
Well, Japan's had a very interesting history separate from basically the rest of the world until they reconnected with the world in like the late 1800s. So these stories from today would have been...
in the 1900s.
What?
Nothing.
So the stories from today would have been just as relevant for the people at the time they were written as they were for the next, 600 years. Mm-hmm. Right? They were very much oral traditions, but they got written down as well. Mm-hmm. And the written version is what has been translated by Royall Tyler for us now. Mm-hmm. Now, these were translated in, the 80s. Mm-hmm. So Royall Tyler's audience was people in America who'd just discovered ninjas.
Perfect.
And he puts a big disclaimer at the front of the book saying, hey, there's not going to be ninjas showing up here. That's a really later thing. Mm-hmm. There's not going to be samurai. This isn't going to be what you 80s Americans think Japan is like. But here's their folklore anyway.
That's a tough way to sell a book, huh?
It doesn't matter. It's already sold at that point.
Have you still not eaten your...
No, I'm sipping. All right, it's fine. All right, I'll eat the plum.
I felt like you were egging me on, and then I ate the plum, and that was ages ago.
Yeah, all right. I shall finish my choya and attempt the plum before we begin.
It's good, right?
It is. You're right.
Plumtastic.
I wouldn't choose to do that if it was not alcoholic, but that was an experience I have wanted for a long time, and I'm glad I have now had.
Together, special.
Yeah. Without any further ado, shall we jump into our first story for today?
Please.
Now, Royall Tyler has given all of these stories names.
Royall Tyler.
Royall Tyler.
Is that his name?
Yes. It's Royall. So, Royall has named all of these stories. These stories do not actually have names. Mm-hmm. So the name he has given this one is No Nonsense. The splendid mansion of Toru, the Minister of the Left, that's a high government position, was called Kawara no Inn, or Riverside.
Riverside, motherfucker!
Toru was especially proud of its elaborate garden. When he died, his heirs offered the place to retired Emperor Uda. So this is almost unusual for emperors around the globe, in that sometimes they were sensible enough to say, I think I'm done now, and just retire and let their son take over. Or someone else who they picked through their family line.
That sounds much more sensible than the, should I say, European way of doing it?
Yeah. Late one night, Uda heard someone open a storeroom in the west wing and come rustling toward him. Peering into the darkness, he saw, kneeling now some 6 feet away, a gentleman in elegant everyday dress, carrying a courtier's baton, and wearing a sword in the manner of a very great lord. "Who are you?" Uda asked. "The master of this home." "You mean you're Minister Toru?" "Yes, I am." "What do you want?" "Well, the house is mine. And if I may say so, your living here too makes the place a bit small for me. I wonder what you suggest." This is the most polite "get out" I've ever heard. Olly, what would you do if you just moved into a new house and the ghost of its former owner came to you and said things were getting a little too small for their liking?
One word.
Uh-huh.
Sage.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just cleanse the place.
Just cleanse it.
Okay.
Be gone, evil spirits! With my smoky sage.
Don't know if they had sage in Japan, but I'm sure they had some sort of cleansing ritual.
Be gone, evil spirits! With this thing I'm burning in your face. There.
With this incense. Whatever.
Do they have incense?
Yeah,
You know
probably.
what? Incense was the first thing that came to mind as well. Because I was like, what do you burn in Japan if you don't burn sage? Like,
Yeah.
be gone.
Stick of incense.
How about yourself? How would you get rid of an evil spirit?
Well, specifically an evil spirit that's asking me what my solution is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'd do the same.
Sage that fucker.
Let's see what Uda does, shall we? This is very odd, said Uda, his voice rising with anger. When did I ever rob a man of his house? I live here because your heirs gave the place to me. Your being a ghost doesn't mean you talk sense. What's all this about?
That's right. Have a logical conversation with the ghost. That'll do it.
Well, it does. The ghost vanished instantly and was never seen again.
Makes me wonder whether or not I could have more logical conversations where I just like stood up for myself in life and it would just work out. If
it works with a ghost, why wouldn't it work with another
everybody?
human?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it would. And every time I've tried to do that, it seems to have gone awry for me.
I mean, I think this
Maybe I
podcast...
just don't have the right logic.
I think this podcast would attest that you've never had a sensible conversation in your... thanks for hosting me, Ollie.
Fair enough. But you know what? I get by. One nonsensical conversation at a time.
People were very impressed with His Majesty's handling of the incident. No ordinary man, they said, could possibly have argued so forcefully with a ghost. The end.
Okay.
Yep. That's our first little intro for the day, to get us in the mood for what these stories might contain.
Look, I'm going to throw it out there. I expected a little bit more.
Ollie, I didn't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
I didn't. But this is not the last that we've heard of retired Emperor Uda tonight.
Okay. Thank Christ.
But I thought perhaps we'd segue into something a little longer. A little more substantial for now, yeah?
Okay, sure. Okay.
But if you
Let
have
me recap.
any parting thoughts of no nonsense about Uda telling off the ghost of Toru to exercise his house.
I think it's a lesson for us all in being able to stand up to ghost bullies. And to really focus on setting realistic boundaries.
Yeah, healthy boundaries.
Healthy boundaries with people and or spectral entities.
People and or ex-people.
Exactly.
Well then, I reckon we should see how else other people in 1100s Japan deal with unwanted guests in their house. What do you say?
Oh, that sounds great.
Because that was the retired emperor, right? That man is the definition of a diplomat.
The one that was shooing off the ghost? Okay.
Yeah. Well, technically both of them.
I was about to say, because it was his house before, so clearly he would have been in a similar position, right?
Yeah. So the minister of the left and the minister of the right are like the emperor's right hand and left hand guys.
I'd like to think that if I was a ghost and I was presented with such succinct logic, that I would also disappear and find
fair enough.
another
Bye.
place. Yeah. You know, maybe that was his finished business.
Yeah. He just wanted to check if the next owner of the house was diplomatically worthy.
And certainly went straight up or down to wherever he needed to go.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Christianity is at some point one of the religions of Japan. I doubt it was at this point, but Buddhism would have been.
Up or down. So here's a
Where
question.
are the helping hands?
So let's say you died.
Yep.
And you're walking around.
Uh-huh. Let's say for the sake of argument this happens.
Yeah. So you're a ghost. You're walking around. Let's say this happens tomorrow. So, you know, you're in the
Jesus.
similar mindset. Oh, it's all right. This is eternal life. You're a ghost. It's fine. And you're in the state and you meet other ghosts.
Okay.
Right. So you're a networker. You get out there. You make friends. right? You know,
Allegedly.
just because it's afterlife doesn't mean you can't have a life. And then people do say that they've seen people go up or down.
Okay.
So again, we have to let a whole bunch of other beliefs exist for this hypothetical. If you finish your business, as it were, and you get like a gist of it, you think, oh, well, if I just do this thing, maybe...
If I point that guy to that treasure I buried, then I've finished my task and I can go to the next place.
Would you prefer to risk being idly on the planet, or would you risk going up or down?
I'd risk it.
You'd risk it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because let's say I'm worried that the amount of time that I spend as a ghost might also affect whether I'm going up or down.
Ooh.
And I think I've led a pretty good life. So I think now is my best chance at going up.
That's good for you. Yeah. It's a great answer, by the way. Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I want to do some extra good deeds. If the time counts. See if I can get some credit in before I decide.
Right, okay, sure.
But that's
Can I do some extracurriculars?
Yeah, but that's just me though. I'm more of a survivor than a living good life guy.
Well, the next story that I've picked for today is called, appropriately, The Eviction.
The Eviction.
Yep.
The scariest story of all.
Well, I mean, what did retired Emperor Uda just do?
He evicted a ghost.
Yeah. So what do you think this one's going to be about?
Evicting more ghosts?
Yeah, we'll see. Don't worry, this one doesn't star a retired emperor or a minister of the left or a minister of the right.
It's a minister of the middle.
It stars the Minister Miyoshi no Kiyoyuki.
You're really good with these Japanese names.
I've practiced them. I've been playing a shit ton of Yakuza games.
Like, actually?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, they're great. Now, you might notice that everybody in these stories that has a name is like a big fancy pants person, because that's who people wrote stories about.
So what was their name again?
Well, he's going to be referred to as Kiyoyuki for the story.
Kiyoyuki?
Kiyoyuki. Yeah. So the Minister Miyoshi no Kiyoyuki, a man of extraordinary intelligence and learning, was expert even in yin-yang law.
Ooh, what's yin-yang law?
Oh boy, so I'm going to have to explain some stuff.
You brought it up.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what yin-yang means, but what's yin-yang law?
All the law surrounding yin-yang.
So balance?
Yeah, pretty much. It's not a formalized religion so much as a way of living according to nature's karma's behaviors balance.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Now, in these stories, that can sometimes mean that these people have magic powers.
Perfect.
But not always. Having no house of his own, he located a ruinous old mansion that stood near the crossing of 5th and Horikawa Avenues in Kyoto, and bought the place, even though no one would live in it because it was well known to be haunted.
All he needs is some sage.
It's your solution to everything.
It's true.
And it might not work in this case. I do
You
like
need to get healthy? Sage. Need a new job? Sage.
I do like that we've got the address of the place, because they might still exist. I didn't look it up, but it might.
You never know. I do think it's really interesting to see how far down buildings are from civilizations like 1,000 years ago. I saw an article the other day where they actually found a historic mansion from...
Oh, you mean far down as in buried in the ground?
Yeah, because
Gotcha.
they build buildings on top of buildings.
Yeah.
And someone was doing a renovation on their home, and they found the ruins of
An Indian burial ground!
like a 12th century mansion or something buried underneath them. So
I believe it.
So I mean, if the address is still there, that'd be interesting. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was a few things buried on top of the building that was originally there.
Yeah, don't forget, Japan is famously susceptible to earthquakes and tsunamis.
Yeah.
And their buildings are pretty much designed to fall down without hurting anyone and then be put back up.
It's interesting that they've done so well over the centuries with that susceptibility.
Yeah. One could
Go
say...
Japan.
Hi. How much do you think he spent on this place? I don't think it would be expensive, right? If everyone knows it's haunted.
Was it yen back then?
I have no idea. Probably. It certainly was not yen back then. Depending on exactly when this story takes place, he may have purchased the house with Wadol Kaichen, or, after that system collapsed, he might have purchased it with rice, or, eventually, imported Chinese currency.
I actually don't even know the yen-dollar conversion, but let's say...
It's about 1 to 100-ish.
Let's say $1 million Australian...
It's 100
that
million
would
yen.
be worth whatever $1 million would be worth back then.
Okay.
Yeah. You feel me, right? Yeah, you pick up what
I do.
you pick up what I'm putting down.
I do. And I also don't think it would have been $1 million because it's haunted. No one buys haunted houses, do they? What kind of moron would buy a haunted house?
One with sage.
Then, over his relatives' strenuous objections, he prepared to move in on an astrologically suitable day.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, so that's some of that yin-yang coming in, looking at nature, the balance of stuff. What's a good time to do stuff?
What's the way that you set up the house?
Oh,
Feng Shui, yeah. Is that
That's a Chinese
Oh, is that Chinese?
framework, but
Whoopsies. Sorry.
I think you've hit on something there that yin-yang law probably would have had something to say about how to set up your house as well. The right day turned out to be the 20th of the 6th moon. Let's say that's, I don't know, the 20th of August, approximately, whatever. Kiyoyuki began his move in an unusual way by setting out in his carriage about 6 in the evening, taking only a straw mat with him. Not what you normally do when you're moving into a place.
I love this guy. I'm a fan. He's just like, well, I'm going to buy this haunted mansion. I'm going to go out on a limb and go sleep in it with my single straw mat.
Yeah. Before I do all of the effort of moving my stuff in, I'll spend a night to see if I can even do it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. What a legend.
Now, also, straw mat...
Man after my own heart.
A straw mat is what people would have been sleeping on at the time, so he's not doing it rough. He's just taken his bedroll. Like everybody has.
Probably good for your back.
Yeah.
Back problems, straw mat. Try it out, let me know how you go.
Pillows, who needs them? The house was so old that you couldn't even guess its age, while its garden was full of pines, maples, and cherry trees, so ancient that they certainly must have had tree spirits living in them. Vines, now just beginning to redden with fall, clambered everywhere, and the moss that covered the ground had not been swept for years. Kiyoyuki had the shutters raised. Now, when he says shutters, that would be like the top portion of the wall. This being like an old Japanese mansion, it would have like the sliding paper panel doors.
So cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I can only hope, but assume that the styles that they have today would still be related to what they had then.
Yeah. They didn't change it because it worked. But yeah, keep in mind, this is not a Western-style mansion. This is a very Japanese-style house. Right? So it'd be
Absolutely.
like wooden flooring, slightly raised. Probably just one floor, big expansive sprawling. You can move the walls around depending on how you need it. Keep that in mind as the story goes on. It could be helpful.
I've actually never been to Japan. It's been on my bucket list.
We should go sometime.
Definitely.
The interior partitions were all warped and torn. He had a corner of the floor cleaned up and spread out the mat he had brought. Okay, I think this means he didn't clean the floor himself. Something that Royall Tyler does mention is that whenever someone is doing anything, when it's like a famous person with a name, just picture there's like 10 people around them, right? All of their aides and cleaners and butlers and everything. But they're not important, so they don't get names and they're not in the story. But they are definitely there.
Mm-hmm. So he didn't go to stay there by himself?
No.
Okay.
Even though he was there himself, think of everybody else there as a sort of extension of his will, rather than human beings of their own right. Then he had a lamp lit and lay down on the mat facing south. When his carriage had been put away in the carriage house, he dismissed all his servants and ox drivers with instructions to come back the next day.
And ox drivers?
Yup.
My God.
Okay, so now for the first time he is actually alone. Kiyoyuki dozed off, still facing south. In the middle of the night, he was awakened by a sort of rustling in the latticework ceiling and saw a face sticking out from each crossing of the lattice. All the faces were different. When he calmly went on looking, they disappeared. Next, 40 or 50 riders, each a foot tall, clattered across the floor from west to east. Kiyoyuki kept watching.
A foot is not very tall.
No, it's quite short. And a rider, I assume that means someone riding on a horse?
That was my assumption too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like
But
playing
only
out a
foot
little
tall.
battle or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we can definitely say that it probably had 4 legs, right?
The rider?
Well,
There was like someone riding a horse.
yeah. Well, the horse would have 4 legs.
Yeah.
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 So this 1 foot tall rider, okay, has 2 legs on the horse, but then the horse has 4 legs. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or centaurs.
Or centaurs. Yeah. Yep.
Kidding. No,
See, I didn't tell you what was haunting this house.
Ooh.
Do you have any guesses at this point?
I'm not at all, not even remotely. But I feel like you're edging towards something more substantial than a single entity. So,
Well, there's 40 or 50 of whatever these entities are.
indeed,
Yeah.
might be hard to tell the lot of them to shovel off.
Yeah. How do you... It's
Shovel.
hard enough dealing with one ghost, let alone 50 of them.
Indeed.
A closet door opened, and out came a very distinguished, though tiny, lady, all in dark brown, with her hair down over her shoulders. The delicious scent of musk filled the air as she knelt before him. A red fan hid most of her face, but the forehead that peeped above it was white, and the eyes elegantly long.
Sorry?
Okay. I don't think that means like Judge Doom eyes poking long out of the head. I think it means long like sideways.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Makes more sense.
Yeah.
I was like...
They weren't
what
like telescoping.
That's literally what I envisioned when you said it. I was like, that's what a weird...
Now, does that description give you any more hints as to what might be happening?
Courtesan?
Well, it might think it is.
Kidding.
He might even think it is if it's kneeling down in front of him.
I mean, at the moment, right? Concubine.
Concubine. Haunted by concubines. You know, yeah, depending on what happened in this house before.
Could be worse.
Yeah.
It's like a whole Ghostbusters scene in his...
No. The way just the pupils moved as she glanced to either side was both dignified and sinister. Watching her, he assumed that the rest of her face must be very pretty. But as she prepared to go, she moved the fan aside for a moment. Lo and behold, her nose was bright red, and crossing pairs of long silver fangs protruded from the corners of her mouth. This did give him a bit of a shock, but she meanwhile had vanished into the closet and closed the door.
So she's a vampire.
Vampire, you say, huh? That's a very Western-sounding vampire, if it were.
Yes, it would be. But, you know, vampires surely had different names in different cultures.
And descriptions. Yeah.
As they were real and everywhere and still are.
So nothing else that might have a red nose, orange and
reindeer
white
or-
hair. little silver fangs,
Like
about a
Rudolph?
foot tall.
Still Rudolph. It's not a Christmas episode.
No, it's not.
Okay, sorry. Did you actually want me to guess?
No. If
Because I'm not sure if any of that, rings bells.
that's fine. I did guess because this story is arranged in like a batch of other stories with a similar theme.
Interestingly enough, I do have an audiobook on Japanese folklore, but I haven't gotten around to listening to it yet.
Oh,
so,
dang.
yeah.
Well.
So, if only
Yeah.
I might have had a chance.
You might have guessed what was going on already. I wonder if Kiyoyuki has. It was nearly dawn now, but there was a bright moon. Kiyoyuki was lying there as alert and untroubled as ever when an old man in a light blue robe came in from the dim garden outside, knelt, bowed very low, and respectfully held a letter forth. "What have you got to say to me?" asked Kiyoyuki sharply. The old man answered in a little voice. "I am here to let you know, sir, that we consider it very wrong of you to claim possession of a house which has been ours for many years, and that we wish to register a vigorous protest." "You don't know what you're talking about. People often buy houses from one another. It's perfectly normal. But you insist on disrupting this process by frightening away anyone who wants to live here, and by occupying the place yourselves. You should be ashamed. Real demons know right from wrong, and are perfectly straight about it. That's what makes them frightening. But all you do is invite the punishment of heaven. Why, you're only a tribe of old foxes. Give me a single hawk or dog and I'll have him eat you all. Go, tell your friends." Did you guess foxes?
No. In fact, I actually didn't know that foxes were in Japan, so you learn something new every day.
Yeah, there you go. And in Japanese folklore, foxes are like little trickster demons, right?
Ah.
Yeah, they're always like playing tricks, pretending to be people and dressing up and haunting houses and stuff.
Maybe they just wanted somewhere to live.
Yeah, well, yes they do. And something to eat. Sometimes that's people food. And people houses. And they are magic.
I got
Right?
that.
They do have magic. They can definitely pull some absolute bullshit with their magic.
Yeah. Somehow I had a sneaking suspicion that magic was involved. But, we'll have to take Kiyoyuki's word for it because everyone else had left.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Olly, well done. But does it make sense now why, that old lady had orange hair with a red stripe and was hiding a little red nose with an orange fan?
It does, and why? Because she was so small, right?
Yeah. And why all of the riders were 1 foot tall?
Yeah, exactly, because they're all foxes.
Yeah. No, they weren't little horses. They were foxes. And what does the fox say?
What does the fox say?
I'll edit
Bark?
I'll edit it in here. But a fox barking sounds like a person shrieking.
No, does it?
Which is one of the reasons for the folklore, right?
Oh.
Because it sounds like there's someone screaming in the woods, and so you go into the woods to find out what it is, and all you see is a fox. What?
It's kind of funny how some animals got domesticated and some didn't. I bet you a fox pet would be very cute. If it was more domesticated.
Yeah, I think they're probably a little too vicious to be domesticated. But then
Well,
again, I've met Nala, so...
I was going to say, first, have you ever met a wild cat or a wolf? Yeah, if you have wild animals like wolves and cats have obviously been domesticated. Foxes didn't factor in, but I feel like it's unfortunate because if they were domesticated to that point, they would be incredibly cute.
I bet if foxes got domesticated and cats didn't, we would look out at wild cats going, "Oh, aren't they so cute? Nothing like our boring old foxes."
Well, I mean, if it was like one or the other, I was hoping for everything. But
I see.
But
all of God's domain is man's
Yeah.
dominion.
It does remind me of a really interesting phenomenon, which is how pigs, if you put a pig into the wild, and it reverts
They
back.
go feral.
They go feral, but it also, like, they grow hair.
Yeah.
They start growing tusks again. They become boars.
Yeah.
It's really fascinating, like, what biological thing is really happening there. Like, it's not like, you know, you don't put a human into, like, the wild and they start, like, growing hair or tusks. You know?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
No. I mean, a similar thing happens to crickets, right?
Really?
Yeah. If you get too many crickets in too small an area, they all change and become locusts.
Really?
Yeah, like their like legs fuck up, their wings go like all aggressive, and they start just attacking and eating everything.
Wow.
And like they can't go back.
Wow. Yeah, that mechanism is something that I find incredibly fascinating. Like, how can an animal like evolve in real time depending on circumstance?
Oh, dude, you should look up caterpillars sometime.
What do you mean, like evolving into butterflies?
Yeah.
Or that's a different thing, right? That's a whole other episode.
Yep, sure is. Shall we continue with today's with the eviction?
Well, it's not secondhand boars, is it? Because we're not a
No,
boar.
but some people would probably accuse us of being so.
Wow.
You are perfectly right, sir. Perfectly right. But we've lived here so long, you see. We wanted you to know how we feel. I'm not in the habit of frightening people. The culprits, I'm afraid, are a couple of youngsters. I try to control them, sir, but they're always up to their tricks. If you're going to move in here, though, sir, I really don't know what we're to do. We've nowhere to go. Or, at least, the only place is a vacant lot by the main gate of the academy. May we have your permission to move there, sir? That sounds like a very good idea, Kiyoyuki answered. You might as well get started.
All right, so you're telling me that this presumably pack of foxes has been told to be evicted by this single person who has told everybody else to get out of there. Yep. And they've just been like, fair enough.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bullshit.
Well, there's at least somewhere else they can go, which maybe nobody else tried telling them.
I'm thinking Fox Revolt. Just found in the morning full of fox bites.
Oh, God.
And scratches.
No. The old man shouted an order, and 40 or 50 voices shouted assent.
40 or 50? I mean...
It's very clear there are somewhere between 40 and 50 of them.
That sounds clearly outnumbered. Like...
Would you rather fight 40 or 50 fox-sized horses, or one horse-sized fox? I don't know. We'll tell them what to do. Yeah, okay.
These such authority figures, right? They're just like,
These high government men, they command respect.
apparently.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he next time he sees his staff and he's like, well, there was 40 or 50 foxes, but I told them they're moving there.
By the way, go tell the academy that they're about to have some very noisy neighbours.
Well, that is hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious, because I think they would have revolted, because I feel like if they did knock off this minister, the next day, that would only add fuel to the fire of the haunting, and they could just keep that place to themselves.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of hassle. Look, okay, if you killed the minister, though, suddenly you might have people getting real mad at you. You might have angry people coming to evict you, rather than one quite reasonable man coming to evict you.
I mean, killed by ghosts. What are they gonna do? All right. Let's assume that in this there were 40 or 50 fox spirits.
No, actual foxes.
Actual foxes.
Yeah.
But they could look like people.
Yeah, think of foxes as like little tricky elves.
Okay, but like they had like powers and they could.
They could not necessarily transform, but think of it as cast a glamour and appear as a person.
Okay, sure. So like, could all foxes do this, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, foxes were tricky little buggers.
Okay, so all foxes had these abilities.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole new spin.
Yeah.
I honestly thought this was like fox spirits.
No. This is actually from the Foxes chapter of this book instead of the Ghosts chapter of this book. I just wanted to trick you. Like these tricky little foxes.
I was going to say.
Got ya. After daybreak, Kiyoyuki's household came to fetch him home again. He then went about the business of having the house remodeled and made more up to date. Nothing special happened while he lived there. The end.
Oh, I really should have let you finish. It was so close.
That's fine. I mean, we practically had finished, right? There was no more conflict or drama in the story.
Just in our lives.
And afterlives.
In afterlives.
Yeah.
Just in the afterlife.
So yeah, I've included that particular story because I would say that is a haunted house story.
Yeah.
It's just not haunted by a ghost.
True. Foxes.
Now,
tricky little foxes.
And there's honestly more entertaining stories in this book about foxes than there are about ghosts. Because ghosts is just like a dead person, whereas a fox has an agenda and
Cunning.
magical powers and cunning. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're fine with it, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with the foxy story.
Would you like to perhaps finish off today's episode, though, by checking in again with retired Emperor Uda?
Oh, I'd love to.
Seeing what he's up to next?
Oh, he was such a short encounter in our first story.
Yeah.
Very authoritarian.
Yeah. I mean, there's one thing that both of our characters have in common is they're capable of logically, sensibly, calmly negotiating with things haunting their house. So let's see what happens in the next story called... Now, before I begin, Ollie, do you remember the title of the first story starring retired Emperor Uda?
No, I just remember Royall Tyler.
It was called No Nonsense.
Oh, I've got that written down.
So this one is quite a bit of nonsense.
There we go.
Once, retired Emperor Uda took a carriage ride with one of his consorts to his riverside palace.
Good to have a few palaces.
Good to have a few consorts. You know what a consort is, right?
Is it like a concubine?
Pretty much, yes. The view from there was lovely, and that night the moon was very bright. Uda had the mats from his carriage spread out in one of the rooms. Then he and the consort lay down. What do you think they're doing?
Laying silently meditating on the moon?
They were making love when a storeroom door opened and a voice spoke.
Stop that. Stop that nonsense.
Now, we don't know what the voice says, but... Who's there? Uda called. Toru, said the voice. I want your consort for me. Now, do you remember, Ollie, that Toru was the last ghost that Uda had to kick out of his house? So not only does this ghost want his house, now he wants his woman.
Which seems like referred to as property at this point.
You were just a minister when you were alive, Uda retorted. I'm an emperor. How dare you? Go away. The ghost clutched at Uda, who was half dead with fright. His servants were all too far away to hear him cry out. Only the little ox herd was nearby, tending the ox from the carriage while it grazed. Uda had him get the carriage brought round and helped his consort into it. She was ghastly pale and could not even stand. Which is frankly not the reason that you want your consort unable to stand after spending a night making love, but there you go. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that too far?
Loved it.
That's the most disgusted face I think you've ever given me. You
Really?
were not having that, were you?
No, I loved it. Yeah. You want to weaken the knees for other reasons.
Yeah. So what do you think Uda's going to do this time?
Well, I mean, what is there to do? Because your consort is being rushed away already, so, you know, she is presumably safe.
Yes, yeah. I don't think she comes back. No.
Just tell him to fuck right off and maybe not bother him again.
As soon as Uda got home, he sent an exorcist to take care of the ghost. He was very lucky that the gods were still watching over him, even though he had abdicated. Sorry, even though he's not the emperor anymore, the gods still really liked him. There were sword cuts on the storeroom door, made by the gods as they slashed at Toru's ghost and forced him back inside.
So the gods have popped up now with swords?
The end.
Fuck off.
Yep, so Uda...
They are some short and sweet stories.
Yeah. So Uda sent an exorcist to the house to get rid of Toru, and the exorcist, different to like a Catholic exorcist, right?
I'm going to throw it out here. I'm always surprised these stories are recorded. Like, I mean,
would you say that this one was quite a bit of nonsense?
quite a bit of nonsense, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the
Hardly
exorcist...
Game of Thrones.
So no, the exorcist has gone to the house. He's called upon all of the gods, because he's got multiple he can call upon. And the gods attacked the ghost so much that they shoved him back into the closet. The end. I mean, what else is there to say? I'm certainly not going to make any jokes about Toru being in the closet, because...
He wanted the consort.
He did, yeah. Well, now, hang on. Do we know the gender of the consort? Yes, we do. It was a she. Okay, yeah.
Fun times. Well, look, I can say... Was it Kuroyuki?
Yes, that was Miyoshi no Kiyoyuki.
I enjoyed the fox story over...
Yeah.
Yeah. Toru and the Minister of the Left, or called Riverside,
Motherfucker.
was the
Well,
one...
he was the ghost that kept on pestering retired Emperor Uda.
Uda, yeah. Which I felt like was maybe a bit too short and sweet. I don't know.
Yeah. I think...
I think I like the fox story because I feel like I had a bit more flesh to it.
It was more of a story, yeah. But look...
Unlike Ghosts.
It was too short, and I had to at some point do no nonsense and quite a bit of nonsense, but they are way too short to be an episode of themselves. So
Indeed, yeah.
maybe it might have been better if I'd gone straight from one to the other, but I prefer it as a little bookend to that one.
Admittedly, I do like... I know it's not, secondhand Japanese spirits, but I do like Japanese kind of like ghostly spirits and stuff. Which I know that's more kind of like religious bearing as opposed to haunting. But I feel like I feel like the foxes kind of really felt like they were in that vibe.
Agreed. There's frankly very, very few ghosts in this book. For the reason that spirits of the departed humans is not really what Japanese folklore focuses on.
That's fair.
They're way more interested in like foxes being little tricksy buggers, or demons coming down, and ogres and gods and dragons, rather than just mere ghosts.
Well, it's interesting you should say that, because it reminds me of when we went on that ghost tour. And one of the tour guides said to us that she didn't believe in demons, but she believed in restless spirits.
Yep.
So I guess the interpretation could be, and I'm not sure if this gives you any sort of poetic license, as it were, but the theory was that was an interpretation of ghosts. So maybe the Japanese spirits still falls into that category, but it's an interpretation of ghosts. But
oh yeah, man, there are stories where like a ghost gets so mad he levels up and becomes a demon.
Well, I mean, from that tour guy's perspective,
yeah,
same thing, right? Yeah.
I can't even say it's a continuum. It's just a big
loopy
blob of timey-wobbly, timey-wimey ghost stuff.
I was wondering if you were going to say that because I was thinking it. Yeah.
Well, Ollie, what did you think of our little dip into Japanese folklore?
Loved it. Loved every minute of it.
Yeah?
No samurais though, huh?
Nope. No. I think one story does
or ninjas.
briefly...
My God.
Nah, no ninjas.
No samurais, no ninjas.
Not at all. I think maybe
no
one...
katanas.
Swords do come up.
Okay.
I think anytime a sword is mentioned, you can assume that's a katana. But did you have a favourite character from tonight?
I did, but I'm not sure if I caught their name.
Feel free to describe it and I can give you the name.
It was a short woman with a red nose and silver fangs.
The fox, yeah?
Yes.
The Lady Fox was your favourite?
The Lady Fox was my favourite character.
Ollie, careful about the fanfic that might arise from today's episode then.
Little tail out the back.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Lots of people like that tail, Callum.
Yes, that's why I'm telling you to be careful. Cute little fangs poking out over the top lip. Yeah.
Adorable.
Yeah. I don't recall if it was an old woman. I have that image in my head for some reason.
In my mind, she wasn't an old woman.
Oh, no. It was a distinguished, though tiny lady.
Yeah, I thought so.
Okay. I don't know why. I was picturing an old woman in there. I suppose because there was an old man. Who knows?
Do you know, distinguished might actually be in my age range now, you know? Because,
oh, God.
Do you know, I'm turning 43 this year.
What's age? It's a
next
number.
month.
No, that's a dangerous sentence.
Do you know what 43 is close to? 45.
Then what's that close to?
50.
What's that close to?
70.
Yeah, so you could just keep doing this all the time. Well, I think my MVP is going to be retired Emperor Uda. For two reasons. Yeah, for two reasons.
My God. Okay, sorry. I don't think I've ever been taken back by your choice.
Really?
Yeah.
And this one surprises you?
A little bit.
Huh.
Just because he seems like a relatively unremarkable character.
Are you kidding me? He's a guy.
Okay.
He's a guy who firstly decided, you know what? I think my time of being emperor is done. I'm going to go retire and live a happy life. And I think more world leaders should get on board with that attitude.
That's a good point.
And B,
Yep.
he was not having any of this bullshit haunting in his house. Absolutely none of it.
None of it.
And that is also what we should be aspiring to. If you see a ghost, tell it to fuck right off.
You don't need sage, you just need a stern attitude.
Yep. Yep. Now, to be fair, it apparently didn't work the first time. And that he did need an exorcist the second time. But I think that's a fair escalation. Alright. Do you have an MVP? Do you have a word award for tonight?
I mean, I feel like my MVP, because you asked me if I had a favourite character, and I think my favourite character was the wolf lady. But
The fox lady.
The fox, yeah.
Foxy
but
lady.
if you were talking about an MVP, I was actually going to go Kyoryuki.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realise you had a... Yeah, I was trying to get at your MVP earlier.
No, I know, but you in my defense, you said, did you have a favourite character? And I was like, yeah, that would be my favourite character, which I stand by, still my favourite character. But if I was going to say like an MVP... I think Kyoryuki was kind of like my MVP.
Oh, okay.
The one that, decide to stay the night in the haunted mansion, do the Scooby-Doo thing. Whether or not he did or did not tell 40 to 50 wolf foxes to vacate and live somewhere else, who knows? But I thought the tenacity of the leader was quite good. So I chose the other leader as my MVP, actually.
Okay. Interesting.
But my favourite character,
I never...
which we don't have to open that up to a new category, by the way.
No,
but in this particular instance, my favourite character happen to be that character.
This whole time, I guess I'd been considering the MVP as being my favourite character. I hadn't even considered the possibility that you might be picking a different person for those.
Yeah. Well, that was left field, wasn't it? Yeah. And you know what? I feel like that's probably usually what I would do.
Is this just you trying to backtrack from potentially being given furry fan art?
No, I want that.
You heard that here, listener. If you are in any way inclined to make fan art of this show, please send it to our email address. Links in the description. Ollie would love to have it.
Only if it's furry fan art, though.
Yes,
it has to have
yes.
the little foxtail, otherwise it doesn't count.
I'm going to say you can add little fox ears and a bushy tail to any character we've had on this show and send it in to Ollie. I do want to see a foxy corny sticking his grubby little hands in butter.
That's a throwback. Yeah. Good. I don't know. I think my favourite word might
I don't know if you get a favourite word award. You've already had 2 awards to give out. No, please, go for it.
I'm greedy, I know. I would actually just say just nonsense.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's no nonsense or
quite a bit of nonsense.
Just nonsense.
Well, I don't think I want to pick the word retired because I think I've already explained why I appreciate the retired emperor.
I also agree with that, though. I think it was a better system. The idea of retiring and passing on the mantle of leadership to either your descendant or someone that you choose, I think is a better system than the monarchy system being passed on to a child or something like that. You know, that seems like nonsense.
And it doesn't mean that you've got to go live a hard life. You still get a palace and a bunch of concubines, apparently. So, you know, Epstein away. I mean, so my word award
Not
is...
touching nuts.
What?
Where are we at?
I'm trying to pick my word award.
I
think it might be a phrase.
You can do a phrase.
It might be the phrase, the eyes elegantly long. I honestly
It was very
think,
confusing. I love that.
I'm quite certain last time I had a story from this book, somebody picked long eyes as their word award as well, but I'm doubling down on it. Long eyes. And I get the feeling that next time I pick up the book Japanese Tales by Royall Tyler, there's a pretty good chance that the word award is going to go to long eyes there too. But that's for a future episode of Second-Hand Haunting. This week's stories from Japanese Tales, selected, edited and translated by Royall Tyler. Episode edited by Callum Patrick for the Peas Inner Podcast Network. And hey, if you like it, give us a rating, subscribe or recommend to a friend.